know in many high schools now they don't have the college counselor position, or they never did. So their school counselors are expected to do everything. One of the biggest issues with that is at my high school, I am allowed to attend conferences and meetings, and especially in the fall, I'm gone a lot in order to catch up on what's new this year. The school counselors can't get away that often because they're often asked to supervise and to do testing, proctoring, and many things besides counseling.
Sure.
So they cannot leave campus like I do. So there's that issue. How are you going to help students through the process if you aren't allowed to go to the training to be up on what's going on? If you're going on your own experiences from 20 years ago, you're not helping the students.
Oh, yeah, and I see that. That's a good point. That just because you have 20 years of counseling experience, it may not be updated, because I think you're right. You should be going for personal development in your field to stay up to date, because as you know, when you went to school, and even when I went, things has drastically changed from what the college planning process was like 20 years ago or even 10 years ago versus what it's like this year alone. So I think it's very important for a college counselor, if they're truly a college counselor, that they should be going to like the NACAC and the WACAC and all these different these conferences that's going to make them a better counselor and stay up to date so they can help the students. So that's a great point that you made. So you've been fortunate to be able to do that, which is great.
My principal allows it. Many principals do not. The other difficulty is professional development for the district is planned for teachers. And I am usually required to attend those as well. They're for the classroom. They're about Common Core. Nothing to do with my job. So even though you can say counselors are attending professional development, they may not have any within their district that applies to counseling. And even when they do, my district has been developing on a local level counselor professional development. It usually has to do with the class planning, the crisis counseling, being aware of resources for students in need in social and personal development. But just a smidge of the actual college process counseling, that's where there's a real lack of knowledge. Not because the counselors don't care, it's they just are not, there's not enough time in the day.
Yeah, I just attended the CASC, the Counselors Association, that's once a year, I think, and we were the only college planning company to go out, and I was a speaker on the topic, helping counselors in the topic of college planning. We had, of 3 events that were going on concurrently, the classes, we had 85 counselors in mine that attended, and they said the same thing. They were saying that we do a lot as a counselor, and we try individually to learn, but it's very hard to keep up with everything related to college planning, because you have the student planning part. You talked about the social, academic fit, and the babysitting, so to speak, 9th grade to senior year so they can get in. But then we also have the financial aid and the funding piece that go on with it. And that part, there's a big gap there, which is probably one of the biggest things in this process that has to go hand in hand.
Right, and, and most counselors won't touch it because they don't know enough. They're concerned about their liability if they should give incorrect information. And so if the schools aren't giving it, that means that there's a large subset of students who aren't getting any help at all in that area, and they need to seek it outside of the school. And there is the good information or the good way to go, and there is the bad way to go.